Welcome back, everybody. John Mitchell joins me today, the Cork Horsebox himself, here after another big win over Geysim Derouiche at PFL Europe 3 just a couple of weeks ago now, John. It's like deja vu, John. We are back here. We're having another chat after another very good win over Geysim Derouiche. How are you, man? Thanks for joining me today.
Good, always great to talk to you. And I loved your breakdown there in the Old Triangle podcast. I really agreed with it. Like one thing I've never done is made excuses about my performance or anything. Like you just take it like a man. But when I fought Gayson the first time, there was a couple of issues going into it, and they really kind of I think came out in the fight. So that win was particularly satisfying because I got to put on a much better performance and kind of put that last one to bed. So it was a good closure for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks very much. But yeah, I thought it was a fantastic performance, and it's not an easy thing to do. What you had to do. So maybe let's take it back. Obviously, you were originally supposed to take on Alexander Shizov in the semi-finals. At what stage? Obviously, by the time we had a chat on the Old Triangle there, like you mentioned, and that was the plan. But then, over the next couple of days, the opponent changed. When did you first hear about the change of opponent, John?
So basically, I got to the event the night before the way. Sorry, I got to the event the night before the weigh, and I was talking to Chizov, and just being civil, and I was just saying good luck with the cut, and he said good luck as well. And I'm a big lightweight, so I was really putting in the work to get to the weight, and but it was actually my smoothest cut, And the next day I saw but the last one was terrible. It was really bad, but this was a great one. Like out of my whole career, it was the best. And the next day I saw Chizov going to the scales, and he kind of gave me a wink. So I was like, he doesn't even look drawn out. He must have made it easy enough. And then my manager, Carl Keller, came back and said Chizov's after missing it by 3 kg. And so I was like, okay, give me half his purse and tell him go lose another kg. It's only 9 a.m. He has 2 hours to make it. Last time I made it at 10:55. You know what I mean? Like I literally made it by the skin of my teeth, and it was because of just the wrong equipment on the day of the cut because I didn't have that much to cut really. But he was like, no, I'm not cutting weight anymore. So he just started drinking in front of me. So I was like, in a dehydrated, like quite manic state. Because the French Commission said you can't fight him. He's 3 kg. He's 3 kgs too much. So they were like, no, like that's not allowed. So I like fucking drank 2 liters of water, jumped back to the scale, and I was like, no, I've missed weight too. I'm 72. I was like, I came to fight Chisholm. I'm fighting Chisholm. And then like, it was actually, to be fair, John Kavanagh, who's always been really good to me in my career and always giving me good advice that I need. He was like, don't be an idiot here. He was like, that's a big mistake. He's like, and it makes sense. Like, would I let him kick me in the head before the fight as well, And he didn't even try. So then there was the alternate, Geysim Derouiche, and they were kind of saying, you can. I put this on my Instagram. They're like, you can have a bye to the final was kind of on the cards, or else you can fight Geysim. And I was like, I came here to fight. I'm fighting. So then I was like, look, whatever. To be honest, what I did to Geysim, I was actually going to do to Chizov anyway. But I actually think Geysim had better takedown defense, so it was fine. It was the same plan.
Yes, that's a difficult one to have to deal with, though. You're cutting weight, you're actually talking to him, and then you find out. Did you find it a little bit disrespectful from Shizov, John, or what was the kind of thought process during that stage? Obviously, you mentioned there they offered you a straight buy, but you wanted to fight and you wanted to earn your way into the final. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure. You do all this work, and like at the end of the day, I'm on a good thing now of like this is my 5th fight in 12 months, and you come to fight, and I know I know I can be both those guys. So and it's half the money if I don't fight, isn't it? Like so, I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. So are you on kind of a show win kind of a contract with PFL right now? Is it?
Yeah. So and they pay really well. Like it's unreal. Hence why like I'm back and forth to Thailand all the time. Like it's a very good situation now.
Deadly. So when basically the shit hit the fan for you then with that fight, how long was it before the PFL and the French MMA Commission kind of came to the conclusion that it was Derouiche that was the next guy who was going to step in? And how did you immediately feel about the fact that you were going to face him again?
So Derouiche got paid as an alternate to be there. So like he was getting paid just to make the weight. It's in our PFL contract. So, you know, like obviously he'd had been training. He was in shape enough to get the fight weight. And yeah, then like, you know, Milano, my head coach was telling me he's really good at kind of like setting me straight anyway. So he's like, okay, like this is the story now, so you can cry about it or else you can go out and smoke him. So I was like, yeah, whatever, let's just go smoke him, you know.
100%, 100%. Yeah. So, the fight itself, how well, maybe even just before the fight, you're doing your warm up, you're getting ready to go out. How does it feel to be going out against a guy that you beat relatively easy the last time, and you're going out here again? Is it hard for you to get motivated? You're not a shit talker. You don't really disparage any of your opponents. So where do you kind of find your motivation in those kind of moments before you're heading out to fight?
Oh man, do you know, I've so many whys as to why I do this sport and why I need to win, and like how like I can look after people more, and how like I have a massive. I think it's been apparent in my interviews, a massive chip on my shoulder, like coming from Cork and wanting to smash all these guys. So it actually has far less to do with the like some of my fights have been really violent and bloody, you know, and like
Yeah.
none of that's towards the opponent. Like it's just I need this so badly. Like I always feel they want to win, I need to win. So man, Geysim couldn't have been a nicer guy before or after, and in the fight I was laughing at him and just being a general langer to him. But you know, it's because like he represents like my dream essentially, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Like you're talking about some of the whys. Like, would you care to share, where you're drawing some motivation? Like we're talking about a huge opportunity here, John, coming up in December. 100,000, a title. You're ticking off a lot of boxes there with just not just one fight. Obviously, it's been years and years of preparation to get to this moment as well. And you're right on the cusp of it. The chance to get that title, the chance to win that 100,000 prize money as well, but also the chance to do it in front of a Dublin crowd. And I'm sure you're going to have massive support heading up to Dublin as well from Cork. I mean, things are working out pretty damn good for you at the minute.
Yeah, you know what? And like I always said, they would be since the start. You know, like I was saying about that chip on my shoulder. Here's one of the massive reasons. You know, like one thing I've always felt is underrated, and I say it in my and I always say I smashed everyone there that was put in front of me. I had like one mishap in my pro career, but you know, underrated is one thing, but being absolutely undeniable is another thing. When I was an amateur, no matter how many guys from like Dublin or other places I fought and I smashed them, eventually I had the belts. I was undeniably the best. Now I'm going to go do this again. They can talk about this guy, this guy, this guy, but now I have the belt and I'm undeniable again. So that's one thing. So you know, like in PFL Europe, man, like you know, with Geysim Derouiche, like everyone else had hard fights. Like I had a hard opponent. He hadn't lost since 2018. Made it look very easy. You know, with Jakub Kaszuba now, they're going to say this, this, and this. And I promise this isn't me being cocky. I work hard, so hard. I genuinely think I'm going to go through them and just put on the clinic. And then what can people say? You know what I mean? And then who's the hype on? And it like then I don't even give a fuck if it's about me or not because now everyone knows anyway. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. It was a question that I was going to bring up because it was something that, it doesn't like shine through too much, but I've heard you mention that you've felt that you were underrated and stuff like that by a lot of people in a couple of past interviews.
Yeah.
What do you think the main reason for that is, John?
I just don't really know, to be honest, because I can't talk as well, you know. But
Yeah.
ultimately, a lot of it has to do with like the gym and where you're from and all this stuff. You know, like how many people have come out of Cork. You know, for example, a good example was this: when I actually got those pictures with McGregor, suddenly I got 10 times better overnight in everyone's perception. So that really showed me it's really about like the opportunities and what's in front of you. You know, but it means more to me that I did this. Paddy McCrory's a really good guy. He's a very good training partner. Me and him actually had this discussion. He was like, you know, in Belfast, it's a real fighting culture. There's loads of great fighters coming out there. Mike Conlon, Paul Hughes, all these good guys. Tyrone McKenna, loads. You know, then in Cork, there's none really. You know what I mean? So he was kind of saying, how are you doing this? And that's a massive part of my motivation and why we're a bit more underrated, you know?
We actually spoke with Paddy on the last Owl Triangle as well, and I would have high hopes for Paddy, as I always would have had for yourself as well, John. In having that champion mindset and having that belief in himself, and must be great to be around those people, because I know Paddy had said he was over there. You're actually in Thailand right now. You're over in training right there this minute. How good is it to kind of be around those kind of people and kind of feed off that energy as well? Because you're all, look at different gyms, different
Yeah,
motivations, but you're all heading in the same direction, really. You're all looking for, to get paid well for the stuff that you love to do, which is fighting and become champion, and not necessarily get recognized along the way, but
yeah.
get your due when you're worth it, I guess, is what you're looking for, really.
Jeez, man, I really don't think people know how good Paddy actually is. That's a scary guy right there. Let me tell you. You know what I mean? Like, especially now he's figuring out all the wrestling, and he's going to show it in this fight tonight. But like that lad, geez, there should be a lot. It's actually a good point. There should be a lot of noise about him, because he's also a big fella. So he be in the UFC like shortly. You know what I mean? And he'll do
Yeah.
very well. But same thing. It was great. It was great to train with him. We had some really good rounds.
100%. Right, let's talk a little bit about the Derouiche fight and the difference maybe between the first and the second fight first. He came out a lot wilder in the second fight. Obviously, he had to try and take you off your game somehow. So obviously, he was trying to land those wild knees and uppercuts, maybe trying to catch you coming in for the takedown. Was that something that you were aware of, or that you felt that you needed to be wary of in the second fight? Obviously, I always pictured like this, John. You're going in with the confidence that you've beat him the last time, but he's going in and he has an opportunity to come in straight away and try right the wrongs of your first fight in just, what was it, a couple of months, 2 months since the
Yeah.
last one. So he's been obsessing about coming back in and maybe fighting you again and making some changes, and he got the opportunity thrown at him. Did you notice a big difference between the first fight and the second fight? Maybe, as round 2 and round 3 went on, it was similar enough, but definitely the early stages of round 1, he was coming in like a pretty much like a madman at you from the start.
Yeah, it was great though. It was great, 100%. You have to think of like his mentality going in, and I really try to break that down before the fight. Now I only had 24 hours to do it, and myself and my coaches were laughing because we were like, "This lad is coming to kill you." It was in France as well. Like honestly, that was probably one of the best atmospheres I ever fought in front of. Like the stadium was shaking as I was walking out. Like
Yeah.
the booing was insane, and he's a French champion. You know what I mean? Like he's known in France, so it was so funny. Like just before I walked out, I was like, "Oh, maybe." I said to, like my coach was like, "Oh, maybe I should have taken that bite." And then when we got in the cage, like Milano was like, "John, stay in position," and I was like, "Don't worry, it'll be fine." And I turned around and he was like huffing and puffing like a bull. So, but that actually made it easier because the takedowns way more there. Like the last time I was shooting into a wall to get him, like, you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
but it was good because it made it a way better fight. He just tried harder. He literally just tried harder, and as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was great. It was a great performance again. And like, yeah, it's something that I look at too. I try to put myself in other people's shoes, and that's the way I would kind of as assess his performance. But your performance is like, you made it look easy as well, but I know for sure it wasn't easy, because it's not easy to come back in and fight another guy straight away, especially a guy that you've beaten too. So, and do you come in thinking, and I mean, do you come in? I'm going to ask you now. Did you come in and thinking like, I need to do the same thing again, or was there any little thoughts in the back of your head thinking maybe I need to make some slight changes? Because I think the way I described it on the Owl Triangle podcast, it was like, if it ain't broke, there's no need to fix it. So was it kind of that mentality that you came into that fight with?
yeah, well, I'd also learned a couple of good new things as well. Like I landed the liver kick. I hit him with a heavy left hook when he tried to uppercut me. On the ground, I was tying up his legs with my legs. It's pure like Dagestani thing, but they taught
Yeah.
me it really well here. And I was doing like, he even said like in the fight, like I keep laughing because he was trying to go for the underhook, but if I wrap your legs with my legs, you can't go through the underhook. Like, so I was like nearly going to tell him like, go the other way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, like when I go into it, I just try to show all the new stuff I've been working at, or else what was the point of doing a camp for it?
100%, 100%. The other semi-finals was Jakub Kaszuba and Dylan Tuke. Obviously, didn't go Dylan's way. How did you feel about that fight?
Man, I actually thought Dylan did great. Like,
Mm.
you know, if you listen to that fight again, and obviously I've watched the fight a lot now because I'm fighting him, and if you listen without the commentary, it's close enough. You know what I mean? Like Dylan
Very
smoked him in the
close.
first round. The third round was actually close enough as well. Now, like, there's some big differences between myself and Dylan, and the biggest one is styles make fights. Okay, the biggest one is the weight. Like right now, I'm 84 kg again. I'm a big lightweight. You know, I make it easy now. Like, and clearly I've cardio for days in there. Like, so it's not an issue. But the fact remains the same. Is like I'm heavy for a lightweight. Generally, I train always with welterweights. So that's a big difference. Dylan, if that guy was Dylan's weight, I think Dylan would have smoked him. You know, if that fight was at featherweight, like it would have looked a lot differently.
100%. Yeah.
Like very different. So then,
Big factor for me is the same as what you're thinking as well. For me, it wasn't a skills discrepancy from Dylan at all. It was just the size, and he's moving up from featherweight. He has to try and get used to competing at 155 as well. Obviously, that's what you've been doing for your entire career. So yeah, that's a assessment. That's kind of the way I looked at it as well. And you were going to say, continue, please.
Yeah. So then like if you look at Jakub Kaszuba, say if you take strength out of it, and like the Cork horse box, like like strength is never the issue. You see me grappling with rug. You know what I mean? Like that's nothing I'm worried about. So then so just taking from that fight, Jakub Kaszuba to me is like Ivan Benita, Elliot Levy, Konstantinos Natellis, many grapplers, and they've always been my best performances. So I'm really excited to put on a clinic here because I think more, and you say it really well in the podcast, in the last two fights I wrestled, 2 fights before that I knocked the boys out. Like my best performances are when I'm on my feet,
Yeah, that's the thing. I think people are going to go absolutely crazy when they actually can see what you can do on the feet as well, because it just
And it's crazy they forgot.
That's MMA for you in a nutshell, John. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Kind of a job with MMA, but for you, it's like, what way was I going to go with this? Like, you're competing in quick succession now, so like you're finished the last fight. Now you're over in Thailand. You're in camp again. Was there any time off? And how do you like this kind of fighting in quick succession? Because I'm sure you do enjoy it quite a lot and staying in the mentality, staying in the camps. But this is your second time to do it in a row, obviously after the quarterfinals, after the semifinals, coming into the final right now. How's the body and how's the mind feeling? Like, do you feel in the zone fighting in quick succession like this?
Oh man, honestly now, like I was driving on my moped here or yesterday, and I was just saying, Joe, I've never been happier in my life. I get to get paid well per fight now. I get to fight in all these big events. Like after the fight, I went back to Dubai. I was training straight away just because I love training with my team there, and got to go to a few nice restaurants with my missus and my cousin. And now I'm back in Thailand again with all these like world champion coaches and living in a nice place again. It's unreal, man. And so I'm so happy that I'm just in this. This was my dream. You know what I mean? And obviously, the dream doesn't stop here. The dream's to win world titles and bring them back to Cork. But like even now, it's going to be. It just feels right that I'm going back to Dublin. I finally get to see like my sister's child that I haven't seen because I've had so many fights back to back. So yeah, it's class, man. I couldn't love it more. Like like I said, it's my 5th fight in 12 months, and next year I'm going to tell PFL line me up for 5 more.
Love it. Yeah, that's it. That's great. You love the activity, and it's great that you'll be able to get back to Dublin to see everybody as well. You mentioned, John, the atmosphere in Paris. Obviously, it was a boisterous atmosphere. You were behind enemy lines. Obviously, didn't kind of take you out of your game whatsoever. Talk to me. Were you in or around for Cedric Doumbé's performance? Because that was an absolute spectacle.
Man, so on that, right, when I fight, or like even when I fought in Cork and it was like deafening with Cork people, they're really only afterthoughts. So like I actually honestly only really noticed the crowd really after, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
then when Cedric Doumbé was fighting and I was aware of the crowd again, man, it was crazy. Like I couldn't believe I just fought there. I was like anxious over having just done it and I'd only just fought, like, you know what I mean? It was mental, like that the crowd and even when he got in the cage and he was still going like Jordan, and then he
Yeah.
knocked him out in like 7 seconds, man. It was
insane.
bro. Like the stadium was honestly shaking, like
Yeah,
insane.
unreal. I can't imagine what it was like in there, John, because yeah, it looked, just looking at it from the TV and stuff, it looked absolutely insane. And now we have the chance as Irish fans and everything like that to go into Dublin on December 8th in the Three Arena and try to create just as big as an atmosphere as well for yourself and for France and anyone else who's fighting on the card from Ireland as well. Talk to me about coming back to Ireland. Look, we kind of touched on it a little bit already. You'll have lots of family there, you'll have lots of friends there, and that's
Uh,
going to be added fuel to the fire for you.
yeah, like do you know, in the 24 MMA fights or 23 or whatever I have, or yeah, it's 24. I've never lost in Ireland. You know what I mean? And I especially never lost in Ireland. If my old man is sitting in cage side, he'd get into the ring and finish me off if I did. You know what I mean? So it's great. Like in Cork, I actually don't know anyone that's not coming that I've talked to. Like it's class, and this is what it's all about for me. And so it's huge fuel to the fire. And this is a 5 minute fight, and I'm gonna make it like super ugly and put a big pace on them like I always do. So you definitely need a good bit more fuel there, and I think the crowd's going to be class. It's going to be
Yeah.
unreal, you know. And especially because I've lived in so many places now, it's like there's people coming from all four corners of the earth to see my fight. It's class.
Yeah, it is. It sure is a great experience, and I'm very happy that you'll be able to kind of experience that as well. The elbows, no elbows allowed in fights. I think that, even if we're talking about people not seeing the full kind of skill set that you have, and one thing that we've seen you unleash in previous professional fights is those elbows from the top as well. Was there any talks with PFL to kind of say for the finals at very least? Look, I understand with tournament formats, John, you can't really throw elbows if you're fighting, 2 weeks at a time or 2 months at a time. You've got to, give yourself every chance that your body is going to be fully healed up and stuff. It's an awful pity, and you must feel it too, that you can't throw an out elbow when you're down on the ground and you're in top control.
Ah, like 100%. Like I don't want to like be too disrespectful to my last opponent now because he did take the fight twice and everything. But man, I definitely feel I would have finished that twice, like very quickly both times if I could elbow him in the face. Like it's a whole different thing. Like sure, the last time I could use elbows on the ground with RBMA if he was in a hospital for 5 days. But they actually did seem like they wanted to change that. You know, like when I was talking to one of the owners of PFL, he said they're like pushing to get it changed. So that would be great. I'd love if they did for the final, but I don't think they will this time.
Yeah, it'd be probably too soon to make it happen, but I'd hope that they'd maybe make those changes. So, John, on December 8th, you will be in there, and the cage door will close, and it'll just be yourself and Jakub Kaszuba. How do you see the fight going when the cage eventually closes and the fight kicks off?
I think I'm just going to do what I do in every fight, and whether it's like boxing or kickboxing or wrestling, I'm just going to put it on him. You know, I'm going to be making a hard fight for both of us, and I really believe, he's going to be getting more tired than me, and I'm making a good war of attrition, and gradually I'll just start taking over the fight like I always do, and smash him, and get that belt and get the money. But he's actually a very nice fella. Like when we got in the cage there the last time, like he called me a good Catholic. Like my mom was delighted.
That's it. All that going to mass
it's not
is
often
finally
someone calls
paying
me
off.
that. I'm trying to hit him. I'm telling you. And it's funny because because obviously like Dylan, I'm outspoken and Dylan's outspoken, but we're a bit outspoken in different ways. So I think when I was being sound to him, then it was just some switch up for him, like.
Yeah, definitely a big switch up from the energy that Dylan brings as well. So he's sure he was very happy with that as well. John, December 8th, yourself versus Jakub Kaszuba. I wish you all the best in your preparations. Really, really looking forward to seeing that fight. Huge opportunity. You've worked very hard, and it's great to see you getting the chance to do it, and getting to do it at home on Irish soil as well is going to be even that much more special. Maybe we'll talk again before closer to the fight. Maybe we'll see if we can make something happen. Maybe we'll go back to the old triangle or something like that. But for now, enjoy your time in Thailand, enjoy your preparations, and we'll talk to you again soon, John. Thanks a million for joining me today.
My pleasure, Ian. Thanks very much.